So let's just begin our practice by taking a deep breath and inviting ourselves into this space, into this time. It's a tall order, but perhaps seeing if we can put down whatever it was that we were doing prior to joining here. Calling back all the parts of ourselves, all the energy that we may have dispersed in different directions throughout our morning. And connecting with the breath. And as you're breathing, allowing your attention to really settle in the body, noticing what the body might need in order to bring greater comfort to your posture, to the way your clothes are hitting you, whatever adjustments you might need to make. It could be there's a part of your body that's feeling like, if I stay here in this position, I'm going to cramp up. So if that's the case, then just stretching that or massaging that, just listening to whatever the body might be telling you right now about what it needs in order to feel comfortable, in order to settle. We may have come from something that was a high energy activity. And so we really need a transitional space to help our body and our mind calm down a bit. So just allowing yourself to stretch, to move in whatever ways the body is telling you is needed right now. Making whatever adjustments you need to make. And our final movement for this section of our practice is always just rolling our shoulders back and opening the heart space, kind of adopting a posture of acceptance and openness and vulnerability. And because this is a vulnerable place, open-hearted, heart-leading, heart-forward, because this is a vulnerable place, we want to listen to how the body feels. Maybe today is a day where being open and expansive and welcoming doesn't feel good or doesn't feel safe. And if that's the case, it's okay to make whatever adjustments are needed for you to feel comfortable. This is your practice. This is your home base, your body and your cushion or your chair. This is where we are greeting ourselves, welcoming ourselves. And so just as we would welcome anyone that we're excited to see and that we care for, we want to do so in a loving way. We want our guests to feel comfortable. Returning your attention to the breath. Allowing each exhalation to be a little bit of a release so that you can feel the weight of your body on the chair growing heavier. You can feel the contact points between you and the chair becoming more pronounced. You can sense the entirety of your body as you sit here. And today's practice will be a concentration practice that invites us into beginner's mind. Here we are at the beginning of a new year. Clean slate, the calendar lying empty, waiting to be filled. But that's not exactly what we're talking about when we talk about beginner's mind. We're talking about the opportunity to put down everything we think we know and to greet each moment as a newborn child would, who doesn't have all of the judgments, all of the structures in place, all of the expectations and attachments. So, this will be our practice today. And in order to have a place to return to, let's establish what our anchor will be. So, finding the place in your body that seems to call to you the most right now, where you can rest your awareness. That could be the breath. The breath is an easy one because it's always there and it's cyclical, and each breath is a new beginning. So that's a good one to work with in a beginner's mind practice. But that's not always a good anchor for anyone, for just any, you might have issues surrounding, like I have asthma, and sometimes I can't work with the breath because it's anxiety provoking, which is the opposite of what we're looking for. So finding an anchor in the body, it could be the weight of your hands resting in your lap. It could be the pressure of your feet on the floor. But some place where you can rest your awareness and allow your curiosity to explore what the present moment is offering you, what sensations you're experiencing in that anchor. So let's just take a moment now and acquaint ourselves with the anchor. I'm going to go ahead and use breath. Please use whatever feels right to you. So all I'm doing right now is noticing as my mind slips into something, some busy work, and bringing it back to exploring the sensations of breath, becoming curious about what muscles are engaging, sensing the release that I feel on the exhalation. And it really does not take very long before the mind becomes quite insistent that I place my attention elsewhere. But it doesn't really, it's very seductive, right? It happens very subtly. And suddenly I realize I'm not thinking about my anchor at all. I'm off in other places trying to solve problems or trying to narrate. And so in our beginner's mind practice, we can think about the mind picking things up. Do you ever walk through a room and you're like, oh yeah, this needs to go somewhere else? And then before you know it, you have picked up things and your hands are full. And there's nothing else you can carry because your hands are full of these things that you mindlessly picked up as you moved through a space. So the mind does a similar thing. And suddenly, before we know it, our mind is full and there's no room for discovery or inspiration or understanding or clarity. So, this practice is about letting go of those things and just redirecting ourselves back to whatever's available to us in this moment without preconception, without expectation. And if you're listening to this meditation, chances are very high that you have a central nervous system. And so that central nervous system is designed to constantly be assessing the environment for threats. That's how we stay safe. But the mind is not very good at discerning real threats from perceived threats or threats that it makes up. And so we wind up in these states of hyperarousal that actually are counterproductive for our health and our well being. So, what if we could let go, even briefly? What if we could just practice for a few moments, letting the central nervous system be still, be silenced, not forecasting ourselves into perceived future scenarios where we can rehearse the right response or prepare ourselves for bad news? What if we could just greet this very moment without any expectation of what might unfold here? What if we could bring the innocence of a newborn child who doesn't anticipate the world being full of hurt, but is open to discovery and inspiration? So here we are at the beginning of a year, at the beginning of our sit, at the beginning of this moment. Oh, it's gone. Now it's this moment. This breath, new beginning, starting over. So notice where the mind is now. Have you picked a bunch of things up as you've walked through the last few moments? Is your mind full? Can you put them down and begin again? And begin without having to have the experience of this moment shaped, narrated, judged by the mind. Just being present. Allowing experience to come to you. Allowing the moment to unfold. It doesn't need your help. So just check in, notice where the mind is. Are you with your anchor? And if you're not, begin again. Start afresh. Every moment is a new opportunity. So here's an opportunity to check in with the mind. Notice if you have any expectations. This could be quite subtle. Any ideas of what this time should feel like, or what it means to be doing it right, or to be a good meditator? All of those are the subtle ways that the mind creeps in to try to shape the moment, to try to impose expectations, structure, attachment. And if you notice that your mind is engaged in those kinds of activities, that's okay. It's what we're designed to do. But we're inculcating this practice, these behaviors, this habituation of noticing and letting go. If you've picked something up, put it down. Be here in this moment, which is unlike any other moment of your life and will be unlike any future moment of your life. This one moment right now, it's gone this moment. It's gone this moment. It's precious. Can you show up? And when you need to, can you start over with kindness, with compassion, with love? So, in our concentration practice, we're coming back always to the anchor. We're noticing when we've diverted, when we're in our thoughts, when we're no longer here in the moment, and we're coming back. And this is an added layer because we can come back with our judgments and our assumptions. And so we're coming back, but we're coming back fresh, new, innocent, with no knowledge of what might happen, which is something that can be scary to those central nervous systems. And so we remind ourselves that we are practicing in safety and we do only what feels right. There's no gold star for pushing through discomfort. We want to treat ourselves with great compassion. And that's the beauty of being able to start over and bring innocence to each moment. Notice where your attention is. Notice where your awareness rests. If you've wandered off, lovingly call yourself back and start again. Jack Cornfield calls beginner's mind cleaning the window so that we can see through it clearly. letting go of all that noise in the head, all the noise that's designed to organize our experience, to structure our experience, to protect our ego. We don't need that right now. We can allow ourselves to greet this moment as it unfolds without preconception. Just letting it be, letting ourselves be. Once we've settled into our practice, we can sometimes note a resistance bubbling up at this stage, maybe some boredom, some restlessness. And if that's what's arising for you, greet it, welcome it, let it be. It just is. But you don't need to judge it or narrate it. You just notice it. Just notice it and then let your attention come back to your anchor. How do you know what you're feeling? If you're in beginner's mind, you might not know what it is that's arising for you because we're greeting it as a novel experience. So if you want, you can become curious about it. It may not be what you thought at all. Sometimes, in our eagerness to describe for ourselves our experience, we can mislabel things, we can jump to conclusions or make assumptions that are faulty. So, can you be with the experience, whatever it might be, without shaping it in some way through language or thought? So, in a few moments, we'll begin to transition out of that practice, but we don't want to leave prematurely. We want to stay with this till the end. It's just a way of letting you know what's coming. And we might ask how we can take this practice, this beginner's mind concept, into our lives. There may be a conversation you need to have with someone, and you've already played out both parts in your head. Can you come to that experience with innocence, with no idea what might occur, open to whatever might not even fit your assumption? Where in your life can beginner's mind help you to open to the moment? So let's begin just expanding our awareness from our sole focus on our anchor to the entirety of the body. Once again, feeling the weight of the body on the chair, the cushion, the couch. Hearing the sounds in the room around us. Seeing if we can even tune into sounds outside the building that we're in. Maybe there's some sound on the street or a bird song outside. What can you notice about your environment? And in this last few moments, just allowing ourselves to be who we are without any need to be different or better or richer or thinner or any of the ways we torture ourselves with not being okay just as we are. Can we bring that innocence, that joy of discovery to our very sense of how we walk through the world right now, in this moment, not when we have the perfect job or the perfect partner or the perfect house. Right now, we are all we need to be. And then offering the benefit of our time together today to those who perhaps have picked up so much as they've walked through life that their minds are so full they have no idea how to even begin to put it down, to start over. Holding them in our hearts and offering some of the benefit of our practice to help lighten their load.